Today is Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the House passes the nearly $2 trillion COVID-19 relief package today and is headed to President Joe Biden's desk to be signed. House Democrats also approved the PRO Act, which would protect workers who want to form a union. We'll talk with Saunders, president of the AFS-CME. Two major confirmations today. Marcia Fudge will lead HUD, and Merrick Garland is the new attorney general, both approved by the United States Senate. And the interim president of the African American Mayors Association, Karen Weaver, the former mayor of Flint, Michigan, joins us to talk about what mayors need to recover from the pandemic. Also, we're talking coronavirus with Tom Joyner. Plus, Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett of Virgin Islands goes off on a Republican about his remarks regarding Black Lives Matter in the COVID-19 debate. Plus, Florida Rights Restoration founder Desmond Meade denied again for a pardon in Florida. He will join us. Plus, I'll talk about a scholarship I'm establishing at my high school in Houston, Jack Yates High School, and we'll talk with the superintendent of HISD, Dr. Grenita Lathan. Also, folks, a crazy-ass elementary school teacher forces a 5-year-old to clean feces out of a toilet with his bare hands. Crazy. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, House Democrats approved a significant expansion of labor rights with the Protecting the Right to Organize, or called the PRO Act. The bill would protect workers who want to form a union from retaliation or firing, strengthen the government's power to punish employers who violate workers' rights, and outlaw mandatory meetings that employers often use to try to squash an organizing drive. It would also make it harder for companies like Uber and Lyft to classify workers as independent contractors. The measure is, of course, opposed by Republicans. They have not supported anything, frankly, the Democrats have put forth. This is all about the American worker. But here's what's interesting about that. I thought Republicans said that they were the party of the working class. That's sort of wrong. My panel is A. Scott Bolden, former chair, National Bar Association Political Action Committee; Robert Patillo, executive director, Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project; Monique Presley, legal analyst and crisis manager. In a moment, we'll be talking with Saunders, who's the president of AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees. So, folks, let me know when we have Lee on the show. This is a huge bill, Robert, because, again, you have President Joe Biden, who came out strongly in support of this, pushing what this would mean for labor unions. You see what's happening in Bessemer, Alabama, where you have Amazon workers trying to unionize there as well. And this is a moment where, if you're Democrats, how are you going to reward, frankly, your biggest constituency, the folks who pour millions into campaigns every year? This is going to put pressure on those Democrats in the Senate to actually break the filibuster to pass this.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And I think what we're seeing is, as we are having this debate about the $15 an hour minimum wage, well, that wouldn't be as pressing if we actually had labor and organizing rights in this country so workers could collectively bargain for better wages. What if you could unionize McDonald's workers? What if you could unionize Walmart workers? Then the federal government would not step in. And it's interesting to me that the Republicans who at CPAC decided to try to cast themselves as the new party of the working class, the party of, as Ted Cruz said, truck drivers and people who work with their hands, are still opposing every effort to increase wages, to increase negotiating power, to increase health care benefits and pensions that really built the middle class in this country. And we have to understand that people need to put their money where their mouth is when it comes to legislating, and push the legislation that will help give workers more rights vis-a-vis these multinational corporations who currently control everything in our political system.
I really did crack up, Monique, when I heard Republicans throw out, "We're the party of the working class." I'm sorry. which part of the Chamber of Commerce put their money behind? The GOP and not the Democrats. And this, to me, is where if you're a Democrat, your response should be, you're out of your damn mind, and we're going to show you how you're not the party of the working class.
And they've been shown, the country has been shown that that's not their party. They just are homeless and in an identity crisis and trying to find some place to land where they can stand for something or anything at this time other than the former president. And he stood for nothing. He was, just an amoral lunatic. So they have no place to be. And they're grasping at straws. But it's quite obvious from the history of the parties, if you're looking at least the past 75 years, that is not who they are. And saying it out their mouths won't make it true now.
But, Scott, they are correct in terms of what they've been able to do. But they've been appealing to the white working class for a different reason. They've been pushing their buttons on immigration. They pushed their buttons on NAFTA. They pushed their buttons on race. And so the problem is when you have folks in the media who don't know how to make the distinction when they talk about the working class voter, those working class voters are not voting on working class issues, economic issues. They're voting on race. They're voting on cultural issues. They're voting on those type of things.
And they're voting on the big lie. And they're listening to white Republicans who don't have their best interests at heart, but they're angry voters. They're angry because they believe that they're losing their country. They believe that they're losing it to immigration. They believe that they're losing it by 2043. And so this is the bigger lie, if you will. They get mad about entitlement, but you and I both know the top 10 states who get the greatest entitlements from the government are 10 red states in the South. And so it's always interesting. How do you convince poor white working Americans that the Democratic Party is a better party for them and that they're speaking, the Democrats are speaking to them, just not special interest groups or people of color? How do you do that? Because the Republicans keep convincing them to be mad about those race and color issues, right? But the reality is that the Republicans are killing those white working class voters on the economy with their policies. It's going to be a big challenge for the Democrats to do that. Maybe it doesn't get done, but that's the bigger lie, if you will, if you're not in the presidential race.
Joining us right now is Lee Saunders. He's the president of the American Federation of State County Municipal Employees. Lee, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We certainly appreciate AFSCME being one of the supporters of this show since the beginning. It passed the House. You had several Republicans who voted for it, but most of them didn't. Now it goes to the Senate. The problem that we're now facing is that it's 50-50. The question is, how do you and others in the labor movement get Democrats, especially a Senator Joe Manchin, a Kristen Sinema, to stay with Democrats and break the filibuster to pass this? Because ain't going to be 10 Republican senators. It's not going to happen.
Well, let me just say this, too. And we've had some major successes since President Biden has taken office. We've got the rescue plan that's going to be signed by Biden. It passed the House today. It passed the Senate over the weekend. That impacts and affects our communities across the country. It affects working people. It provides additional money to state and local governments. It helps us as far as providing extended unemployment insurance, direct payments, free health insurance for those who are unemployed. The federal government picks that up. So we are doing the kinds of things that are necessary to attract, once again, the working class. But we've got to remember this also. Those who want to be organized into unions, more and more it is people of color and it's women. And we've got to prove the fact that there is a benefit to become a union member. There's a benefit because you have a seat at the table. There's a benefit because you can talk about wages and working conditions. There's a benefit because you can talk about safety and health issues. And that's where we're moving toward. We've had some major successes since Biden has become president. We've just got to keep that momentum up. And I'm convinced that we'll be able to flip some of those white working class voters, because that directly impacts, these improvements directly impact on their pocketbooks. We're going to have to talk to them. We're going to have to educate them. We're going to have to, talk to them every single day. But I think that we can change some of their minds to understand that the Democrats are standing for their issues. They're standing to support working people all across the country. And we're off to a great start.
But this passed the House. It still has to pass the Senate and then get signed into law by President Joe Biden. What are y'all going to do to put the level of pressure on Democrats to stay and hold their majority for it to pass the Senate? That's going to require breaking the filibuster if you can't pick up 10 Republicans.
That's a possibility. But right now, what we're going to do, Roland, is we're going to do what we do best, and that's organizing and mobilizing our members in our communities across the country and say, now is the time. Now is the time for working families to have the ability to improve their lives, the lives of their families, the lives of their and their communities all across the country. So we're going to put heat on those Democrats that may not want to do this. And we're going to talk to them about the importance of doing this, giving us that seat at the table. And if, in fact, we're successful in doing that, and hopefully we will be, we are going to have to grapple with the issue of the filibuster. Right now, I believe it's too early. Personally, it's too early to deal with getting rid of the filibuster. We want to make sure, and we want to put enough pressure on these folks to make them so they make a decision. Once that decision is made and they're making the wrong decision, then I really seriously believe that we've got to look at getting rid of the filibuster if, in fact, we can't change minds. I think that it's a process that we've got to go through, but I don't think that we take that weapon out of our arsenal.
So who are those 10? So, okay, fine. Toomey, Pennsylvania. Okay, a significant labor there in Pennsylvania. Johnson in Wisconsin, who's been, of course, just all about Trump for the last 4 years. You have what? Do you potentially have Barr and Tillis in North Carolina, Portman in Ohio? Where are you targeting? Who are the 10 votes you're targeting to try to get this passed in the Senate?
Well, first we're going to target those Democrats and educate them about the importance of the PRO Act. And following the PRO Act, and I want to say this, there's going to be public service workers not covered under private sector labor law. So we're going to be pushing a public sector act as well. It's in committee, Bobby Scott's committee right now. So we're going to work those Democrats, and we're going to have our members in those Republican districts who understand the value of having collective bargaining to be represented by a union, have them work those Republicans, and if, in fact, we put enough pressure on them, we'll see what they do. I mean, there are no guarantees, but we will put pressure on them so they understand that this is a worker issue. 65% of Americans believe that unions are absolutely necessary in this country for a counterbalance against corporate power. And we've got to make that argument. But if, in fact, people still stand in the way, and these Republicans continue to stand in the way, I think that we've got to take a serious look at eliminating the filibuster. But it's not time to do that right now. We want to go through the process and try to educate these folks and switch and change their minds. But we're serious about this. This is our time. President Biden has talked about supporting working families. If you saw that video that he did last week, talking about the importance of unions and having the ability to organize and not having the boss get in their way and having fair elections, that was a very, very strong statement. And so we want to continue to move on those kinds of statements and move this legislation, and we're going to see what happens.
When you hear Republicans say that they are the party of the working class voters, your response?
Well, I don't want to laugh at that statement, but it's just simply not true. And that's why it's important for us to educate our members and educate citizens across the country about the value of unions. And Republicans aren't supporting union. I mean, let's face it, most Republicans don't. Some do, but most don't. In the public sector, we've been under attack, as you know, Roland, we've talked about this, where they've taken collective bargaining away from us. in the public sector, we have a right to work environment because of the Supreme Court decision. So we want to regain the foothold, okay? And the people that support us right now are the House Democrats who passed the legislation today, and it's going to go to the Senate, and we're going to put some heat and pressure on those senators, and then we're going to see what we need to do to get this passed, because this is vital to continue the improvements that President Biden is committed to do.
All right, Lee Saunders, President, asked me. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Go back to my panel here. It is going to be an uphill battle. I don't see, Robert, where Republicans are going to vote with Democrats on anything. You know what? I just don't. Maybe we'll talk about the infrastructure bill. Look, they didn't vote for them on the COVID bill. They're not going to support them on H.R. 1, the voting bill. Hell, Senator Mike Lee was on Fox News talking about the devil wrote this bill. They're not going to be with them on the George Floyd Justice Act. They sure as hell don't support labor. And so this is going to be the moment where I think labor unions are going to have to look Democrats in the eye and say, we put millions of dollars into your campaigns every single damn year. It's time for your ass to deliver.
You're correct, and it's interesting on this conversation about how do you get 10 Republicans across the line to break a filibuster. There's a quote from Kierkegaard where he says, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. The point being that, look, you can't sit around and wait for these magical 10 Republicans to show up. We've been waiting for Susan Collins to change her mind for the entirety of the Trump administration. We've been waiting for Murkowski. We've been waiting for many of these other quote-unquote moderate and centrist Republicans, but the truth is most of them are deep into the pocket of special interest groups, the union-busting groups, the people who have no interest at all in workers having a seat at the table and providing universal health care, providing pension, providing benefits such as child care and all the other benefits of union organizing. So they're not coming around. So instead of petering around the edges and saying that, well, maybe we can bring them across, take some bold action now, live life forward, and try to get these things through while you can, because guess what? In almost every presidential election in the off year, you lose seats in the House and in the Senate. So this is the ephemeral opportunity that Democrats have to get things passed. If you want it done now, you have to eliminate the filibuster and move forward with the agenda, because otherwise you'll get tamped down into the swamp and it will never happen.
Monique, look, again, I keep talking about 10. Okay, so sure, Pat Toomey is not running for re-election. Portman in Pennsylvania, Portman in Ohio is not running for re-election. Barr in North Carolina is not running for re-election. Now you have Blunt in Missouri. He sure as hell ain't even close to
Montana.
No, Blunt is Missouri.
Oh, okay. I was just checking you. That's all. Go right ahead. Continue.
Please stay in your lane. So the thing here, Monique, that's 4. You still got to pick up 6. And again, I just believe the Republicans are not going to go there, and they are going to force Sinema and Manchin to have to wake the hell up. And just like Manchin the other day, he said on one of those shows, Sunday shows, "Oh, I forced these changes to get more support." It got 50, not 51. He didn't pick up one damn Republican vote.
Right. I mean, but so I guess to me that's politics. For all of these people who are saying he's the real leader, not Schumer, and he wields all this power, it just didn't turn out that way at all for this major piece of legislation that, to Robert's point, the president and the Democrats did load onto it an entire health care bill, basically, on top of a rescue act, because they know that time is of the essence and that whatever is going to get done for us, the American people, is going to get done without the GOP. So I just would urge people to understand the difference between what they're saying, which is what they should be saying about trying to work with the locos in the other party, and what they're doing, which is pushing forward an agenda quite methodically since the third week of January, really before that, because if you look at things like HR 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean, those have been in existence since the Democrats took control of the House, right? So they've been waiting for the opportunity to move forward on these, and that's exactly what they are doing. And I do believe that the American public, contrary to all of this madness we've seen recently, everybody is not stupid. People are going to get those checks and know where they came from and where they didn't. People are going to have their health care coverage restored and know how that happened. People are going to have their jobs. People are going to have their vaccines, millions a day, and understand that all of this happened in spite of the grand old party, not because of it.
And look, speaking of that, COVID relief bill, $2 trillion was passed by the House today. Of course, it now goes to the desk of President Joe Biden to sign. Folks, the real issue, first of all, this is what happened today on the House floor.
On this vote, the yeas are 220, the nays are 211. The motion is adopted. Objection, a motion. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
You had lots of drama, of course, on the floor today with that bill, including Republicans having the audacity to try to challenge black folks on the issue of the family. Check out this that took this exchange where Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, let's just say she had to let all of her Virgin Islands and being a Delta and everything else come out in trying to smack this white Republican.
Mr. Speaker, and I hope my colleague from Wisconsin will not leave at this time as he's talked about Black Lives Matter. How dare you say that Black Lives Matter, Black people do not understand old-fashioned families. Despite some of the issues, some of the things that you have put forward that I've heard out of your mouth in the Oversight Committee, in your own district, we have been able to keep our families alive for over 400 years, and the assault on our families to not have Black lives or not even have Black families. How dare you say that we are not interested in families in the Black community? That is outrageous. That should be stricken down. I was going to talk about the American Rescue Plan. We know that this is going to provide relief to not only Black lives, Black Americans, but all Americans, that we are interested in children and in their welfare. And at this time, I yield back.
The thing here, Scott, is that Democrats must be, to me, very forceful on this. We're now here in the White House. President Biden is going to give a primetime address dealing with COVID tomorrow. Then he's going to sign the bill on Friday, and then it's going to start traveling around the country. Looks like they learned their lesson from the screw-up with President Barack Obama when he didn't do those things with the stimulus bill and allowed Republicans to control the narrative and set that whole deal up as a failure. They realize you better control the narrative yourself and tell your own story, or somebody else will.
Well, you got 1.9 trillion reasons why to control your own narrative. You better get out there, because remember, 2022 is coming. You got open seats, at least 5 on the Senate side. And I got to tell you, this is a huge bill and necessary bill. And what Biden and the other Democrats who are running in all over this country in 2 years have got to hold the Republicans accountable, those who voted against it. As struggling as our families and economies are in this country, you've got to hold those Republicans accountable and make them explain in every state, in every district, why they voted against COVID relief. It will not be sustainable. It is not defensible, and they ought to hold them accountable in every election coming in 2022.
But you can't hold somebody accountable, Robert, if you don't explain to the people what they voted against. You can't just focus on the $1.9 trillion piece. You got to say, this is how much money we put in for K-12 education. This is what we put in for pensions. This is what we put in for police and for firefighters. This is what we put in for this and this and this and this and this. This is a quote from a political story. I think it's important. Congressman Jim Clyburn, there are a lot of people who use the term victory lap in a derogatory way. I've already heard people saying that Biden is about to take a victory lap. Well, that's a lot of crap. He said one of the, if not the biggest mistakes that Obama made, in my opinion, was getting the Recovery Act done and not explaining to people that he had done. I think that was his second biggest one. The biggest screw up to me was the Merrick Garland pick. But again, this, Robert, is where you got to sell it. You got, in the words of my man Joe Madison, you got to put it where the goats can get it. You got to make it plain where you don't allow your opposition to say, oh, all you did was just give a blank check and you're running up the federal debt.
Well, look, I think Democrats have to understand it's time to stop being afraid of the big bad monster that is the Republican Party and conservatism, because it doesn't exist. It's a paper tiger. They're thinking about the Republican Party of Reagan in the 80s. Understand that, the survey was recently done that said 34% of the people in this country identify as independents, 33% identify as Democrats, 29% of people, only 29% of people identify as being Republicans in America, and that went up after they were able to bring over the MAGA party and those individuals to join in. So about a quarter of this country are actually Republicans by the numbers. If you are going to be 20 in 2024 for the next presidential election, you have never seen a Republican win the popular vote. The last time a Republican won the popular vote was in 2004. The Republicans represent 40 million fewer people in the United States Senate than the Democrats do. Even though it's a 50-50 split, you have 15 Republicans who represent about 38 million people. Meanwhile, you have 2 Democratic senators from California who represent 40 million people. So the Republican Party is a dead and dying brand, which is frankly a third party in this country at this point, who cannot pass legislation, who cannot push through justices, who cannot govern or create a governing majority. So the idea that you have to be afraid of them or compromise with them or somehow cower and let their ideas overwhelm your agenda is ridiculous. Do the victory lap. Do a parade. Be on prime time. Do all the late night shows. Make sure the American people understand that you are doing what they have pushed you to do. Because looking forward, what policies do Republicans have that somebody 18 to 24 will be supportive of? They're anti-diversity, anti-police reform, anti-climate change, anti-tuition reform, anti-minimum wage. So govern as if you are the party that the majority of the American people believe in, and that is how you win elections going forward, not by being timid and cowering and compromising and hiding behind and being afraid of someone saying that that you're spending up all the money. I need you, Roland, do you remember Huey Long, the former governor and senator of Louisiana? Yeah, I need Joe Biden to be Huey Long right now. Get out there and push the agenda and make sure the American people see what you are doing and that you are fighting for what they put you in office for.
Huey Long, who said, we're going to put a chicken in every pot. I mean, that's kind of basic how he did it. It's also going to take them working with mayors across the country. Joining us right now is Karen Weaver, the former mayor of Flint, Michigan, who's now the interim executive director of the African American Mayors Association. On this very issue here, Karen, this is where the president is going to have to also enlist these mayors. He needs them trumpeting, this happened in our city because of that particular bill. This happened. And again, President Obama was, Biden talked about how he was all about humility. No, we don't need to do all of that sort of stuff. But that's how you allow the other side to frame you. All the people, they saved Elkhart, Indiana, and hell, them white folks there still went Republican, where Obama should have been there saying, if it wasn't for me, y'all broke asses wouldn't even be here. I mean, sometimes you got to go ahead and make it plain to the folk who saved your butt.
You're exactly right, and thank you for having me. You are exactly right. You do have to make it plain, and you have to spell it out and let people know what you have done. And mayors are a great avenue for making that happen because, it happens locally. And mayors know what's going on. They are the pulse of the city and what is happening and what we need. And so Who better to work with than mayors? When you want to make things happen, when you need a voice, when you need a platform, when you need someone to trumpet and say what you've been doing and be that microphone, mayors are the ones that can make that happen for you. So you're absolutely right that Biden needs mayors at the table and mayors saying what is going on and what has happened and why this is important.
Speaking of this particular bill, is really going to help lots of cities who were economically distressed as a result of COVID-19. I'm sure your organization is quite happy about that.
We're quite happy about that because that is so many cities that African-American mayors lead, and we need this relief bill. I mean, when you look at what is going on in cities, people are hurting, people are crying out, and this is what, we've been needing this relief bill, and it's high time that it happened. I mean, because there's money in there. There's money in there for small businesses. There's money in there for education. There's money in there for childcare. We're talking about getting schools open and opening them up safely. There is money for that. There is money for seniors, and the list goes on and on. We're looking at health equity. There's money in there for those kinds of things, and we're talking about a pandemic that has disproportionately impacted Black and brown people. We have died at higher rates. We have been sicker at higher rates, and so this relief plan is, we've been waiting for this. And when you look at other things, let's talk about tracking this and having access to the vaccine. All of these things are in this bill, and so we need this. You're absolutely right. And this is very important to the African American Mayors Association. And that's been one of the priorities that we've been working on since this hit. We may have gone virtual, but we haven't stopped the work, and we haven't stopped being a voice and convening African American mayors and meeting with the White House and talking with Vice President Kamala Harris and saying, here are our list of priorities. Here are the things that we need. And here's how this helps us.
What advice would you give when President Biden starts traveling around the country touting this particular legislation? Because clearly Republicans are saying, oh, they're bankrupting us. This is liberal overreach. This is them with their wish list for all of their big city liberal mayors.
It's not a wish list. It's a necessary list. It's a needs list, and it's a needs list for people to live the way people deserve to live. We're talking about the health and well-being of people. That's what this is about. It's about the health and well-being, and he needs to talk to mayors. I'm not saying don't meet with governors, because you have to meet at the state level, but you make sure that things get to the cities. Make sure they get to the municipalities, and they don't get hung up at the state level, and talk to mayors. Because like I said, we are feet on the ground. We know the pulse of the people. We know what our communities need, and we know it better than other elected officials because we live with the people. We're not separated. We go to the grocery store and we see them. We go to church, we see them. We walk down the street, we see the people, and we're living what they're living. And so working with mayors is imperative if you want to be successful.
All right. Karen Weaver, first of all, you're interim executive director for the African American Mayors Association. What are y'all plans for the coming year?
We have a lot of plans for the coming year. We're trying to, we're doing things in a virtual manner. But like I said, we have not stopped. We have not missed a beat. Our priorities, of course, include health. It includes infrastructure. It includes criminal justice. It includes education, and pulling mayors together to say, what are the needs? How do we continue to lift and amplify your voices and help you expand your executive capacity for your cities? Those are what our priorities are. We want to continue to work with our partners at the White House and let them know what's going on and how they can be helpful to cities, whether we're large cities or small cities. We represent over 500 African-American mayors. That's a large group of mayors, and we're looking to make that even bigger. So, we want to continue to lift the voice and make sure that African-American mayors have access to resource and best practice and are able to, like I said, amplify their voice and let people know what we need. The time is now. The time is now. We are not going to stop being a voice for African-American mayors. We're not going to stop talking about what we need because, we face different challenges. As mayors, we all face similar challenges, but as an African-American mayor, there's an added layer of challenge that we face. You know that. You know that. And so we're going to continue to make sure we're at the table, that our voices are heard for not just ourselves, but for the people that we represent, and get the resources to our mayors. Make sure they have what they need so they can do the best job possible. But like I said, housing, that's an issue. Health equity, that's an issue. Criminal justice, infrastructure, those are issues. Economic empowerment, those are the things that we're working on, and we're going to continue to work on as the African American Mayors Association.
All right then, Karen, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We'll talk about Marcia Fudge being confirmed as the HUD Secretary, also Merrick Garland, new Attorney General. Later in the show, we'll also talk with Grenita Lathan, Dr. Grenita Lathan. She is the superintendent for the Houston Independent School District, but she's not moving on to Mississippi. Houston School Board of Trustees, what the hell were you sorry asses thinking letting her leave? We'll talk about me launching a scholarship at my high school, Jack Yates High School, a magnet school of communications. All of that next. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment.
A good home shapes nearly every part of our lives. It's where we start and end each day. It's where we raise our families and come together in times of joy. It's where we find shelter and comfort during times of hardship. The past year has reminded us just how important it is to have a safe and stable place to call home. But right now, for millions of Americans, that sense of security and peace of mind is out of reach. Our country has an immense responsibility and a profound opportunity to address the housing crisis facing so many people, to provide relief for those struggling to pay their rent or mortgage as a result of the pandemic, to ensure every American experiencing homelessness has a roof over their head, to revitalize our communities and help more Americans achieve the dream of home ownership, to break down the barriers of injustice that still limit the futures of far too many young people. Every community faces unique challenges that require its own unique solutions. We all want and deserve the same basic things: a safe place to live and an opportunity to succeed with dignity, with grace, and with hope. I'm Marcia Fudge, and I'm honored to serve as the 18th Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. I am proud to join a group of public servants who work with compassion and determination to change the lives of those in need, and I can't wait to get started.
Now, she initially wanted to be the head of agriculture, but that went to Tom Vilsack. But she is the first black female to lead HUD in some 40 years. This is one of those critical nominations, Monique, because when you talk about the housing plans that were put in place or that were totally ignored by Ben Carson, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He had no clue what the hell he was doing. And so to have somebody who not only was a member of Congress there from Cleveland, but more importantly, she was a mayor. And so she brings that experience to HUD Secretary. Thank God to have somebody back in charge of housing in this country who knows what the hell they're doing.
In charge of all of these cabinet posts. And that's another thing that hopefully the American people can recognize. The difference between the last administration and this one is competence. Putting people who actually know how to do the jobs, who have experience in the area, who have a vision that carries our country forward. Those are the people who are being nominated and appointed to these very critical positions by the Biden administration. And that did not happen without the advocacy of Black and brown girls and women all over this country in any number of different organizations who fought to have not just people of competence, but people who were representative of us in these offices. And former Congresswoman Fudge is just another example of that.
Scott, again, we had to deal with the last 4 years of gross incompetence in so many different areas. One of them was indeed housing and urban development.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Marcia Fudge is an incredible elected leader. She certainly will be more competent than her predecessor. But I do think we got to be pretty honest. You all keep talking about her being qualified for the position. Other than being mayor, there's nothing in her political resume that says she has any experience at developing housing for poor people and otherwise. However, that being said, because of her commitment and passion, she has a real opportunity to make a huge difference in the Democratic agenda and closing the housing gap and making life better for African Americans and our rural communities as well. Let's not forget about that.
What do you mean nothing? First of all, what do you mean nothing?
She does a significant job.
What do you mean nothing in her experience? What do you mean nothing in her experience? The reality is when you're no, 1 second. No, 1 second.
She doesn't have any experience in housing development.
Okay, hold on. First of all, let's be real clear.
She called it a dumping ground.
No. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, isn't about developing projects. One of the things that Scott. I've covered city government. One of the roles of a mayor is to deal with the very issue. 1 second, Scott. 1 second. One of the issues of being a mayor is to deal with the issue of housing, low-income housing, homeless housing, affordable housing, and housing development. That's a part of what you also do. And so,
the mayor, that doesn't give you the expertise.
What are you talking about?
You may see it. You may work with developers and work with communities and what have you politically, but you don't have the substantive experience.
That's called expertise.
To run a major agency.
Well, what the hell is expertise then?
Well, you got somebody that's got some.
Are you looking for
making a difference?
Are you looking for somebody who built houses with Habitat for Humanity?
Through leadership, she can make it happen. I hope she makes it happen. But this whole issue of experience, she just doesn't have it, right?
Robert, we're not looking for somebody who worked. We're not looking for somebody who built houses on the weekend for Habitat for Humanity.
She didn't want the job.
Well, look, to Scott's point, I do think, and more so than Tom Vilsack at Agriculture, we would like to see Congressman or Secretary Fudge in that position.
She got experience there.
Scott, will you stop talking? Robert's talking.
Well, I work with black farmers through Rainbow Push throughout the region and working directly with the Department of Agriculture. And I think many of the black farmers have shown recalcitrance to the idea of having Vilsack in office. But I do think they will give an opportunity to show and deliver with regards to our food chain, our supply chain, with regards to our black farmers and agricultural community. But for Marcia Fudge, beyond the point of she's secretary now, so the time for the argument about qualification or not was a couple weeks ago before we got into the confirmation process. She is facing the greatest challenge in decades for any Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. What we have seen throughout coronavirus is that we've had these deferred evictions through city and national programs to prevent people from being evicted. Those are going to end, and people are going to have $5,000, $10,000, $12,000 bills in their names for the rent they haven't paid over the course of a year. You're going to have a foreclosure crisis at your doorstep. The minute that these forbearance programs that banks have been putting out there and mortgage assistance programs are gone. We also are facing the gentrification crisis in black communities around the country. Right now on Auburn Avenue, Sweet Auburn, you got a juice shop, a tea shop, and they're about to put a Starbucks there in a historically black neighborhood where much of the civil rights movement was planned. And this is the same story across the country. You just look at Harlem, just look at other black communities around the country. How do we ensure that we're not displacing black families and black communities and historically black neighborhoods in the name of urban development? And what policies are going to be put in place to ensure that we have a diverse city and not simply the reverse of what they said, Chocolate City and its vanilla suburbs are going to be a vanilla center and then the chocolatey outside areas. So we have to look at the challenges before her and ensure that we hold everyone accountable. I love the history. But as I said, we're not going to do what we did with Obama, where we stayed at inauguration for 8 years. It's time to make sure we're pulling our seat up to the table to get on that agenda from the beginning.
And that's why, Monique, the whole point is when you talk about a level of experience, the question is, can you manage the department? The reality is this here. Let's say you picked a developer. Well, guess what? A developer ain't got no experience when it comes to public policy, when it comes to also driving the agenda. I think the key here is having somebody who is served on the federal level in Congress, someone who's been on the local level as well. And so, because one of the issues that I also have with a lot of people who are also members of Congress, they also forget when they are in Congress what's happening really in these particular cities. And so one of the things that Ben Carson screwed up is letting the cities off the hook when it came to submitting their plans to end, frankly, racialized housing as well. That, to me, was a big piece there. And so this is going to be trying to, frankly, rebuild a federal housing agency that Republicans have gutted in the last 30, 40 years.
Yes. So in case maybe those who are watching right now know the same amount about what HUD does as my colleague Scott, let me just explain. The department's mission is to increase home ownership, support community development, and increase access to affordable housing free from discrimination. So the secretary oversees that. This secretary that we have now served on the Committee on Education and Labor, the subcommittee on Civil Rights and Human Services, right? So that's community block service grant access to low-income home energy assistance programs, school lunch, child nutrition programs. She served on the subcommittee on health, employment, labor, and pensions, responsible for many things, but including all matters dealing with relationships between employers and employees, including pension, health, other employee benefits. She oversaw the Delinquency Prevention Act and Juvenile Justice, Runaway and Homeless Youth Act, matters dealing with child abuse and domestic violence, including and not limited to child abuse prevention and housing security. So I am offended because if you don't know what she has been doing, then don't say she's not qualified. Because
you presume that I don't know any of that. She's got no executive experience, and that's the only thing I said.
As a member of Congress, she has direct related national experience that is directly addressing the areas she is now responsible for execution. So saying she has no experience is just not accurate.
That's just not true. No executive experience managing a large agency like that and never having worked in that field.
You didn't say executive experience in management.
But my
hope is that she does very well in the area.
I don't think it's the right fit, but I hope she does very well.
Clean it up now if you want to and say she's not an executive.
That in my presentation.
But that's not what you said.
Ain't got to clean it up. Truth hurts sometimes, but that's reality.
We had a mayor running for president, and a whole bunch of people thought it was a good idea. Not that I was one of them, but I'm not going to say that this Black woman who has executive function as a mayor and has served leading committees and has served on committees for years in this exact area isn't qualified.
We'll see how she does.
She's
but
qualified
very limited,
and she
that's
has
going to be a problem, and we need strong leadership.
All right.
And another thing.
Robert, you got anything to add?
No, as I said, I think we have to be cognizant of the challenges that we have ahead of us. I do wish all the secretaries well. I'm one of those people that I root for every administration to do well. I hope the Trump administration had done well. I hope the George W. Bush had done well. It's as if you're on a ship. You want the captain to do as good as possible because you're on the ship with them. And I think as we're looking forward to the challenges facing this administration and other, as well as any others, this is one of the most challenging transitions that America has had. And Secretary Fudge has a very big plate ahead of her.
Yep, exactly.
And also
and I hope she succeeds.
You done?
And I said that before, so I didn't clean up anything. You have to listen to my analysis. It's complicated sometimes, but you got to listen to it.
Actually, when somebody says it's complicated, that also means it's confusing as hell. That's what it means. All right, y'all, and don't forget today, also the Senate confirmed 70-30 Merrick Garland to be Attorney General. All right, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk COVID vaccine with Tom Joyner. He's retired, but still got something to say. That is next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Your work keeps the community safe, but what keeps you safe at work? People in public service face unique dangers, and we need the right training, resources, and staffing to stay safe. But how do we make sure we have what we need to stay safe on the job? We join a union. Union members negotiate for the resources we need to keep us safe at work and protections if we're injured on the job. Union members are better trained and better protected. Job safety. That's the union difference. The work you do is important. A lot of people depend on you, and you deserve respect. Respect includes making a decent wage that reflects how hard you work for your community. So what's the best way to make sure you get the pay you deserve? Join a union. Union members are paid more than people with similar jobs who aren't in unions. For women and people of color, the union difference is even greater. The respect you deserve, the pay you've earned. That's the union difference. People in public service work hard every day in our communities, and we deserve respect for the work we do. That means a secure retirement with benefits you've earned through years of service and hard work. What's the best way to ensure that when you retire, you'll be ready to enjoy the years ahead? Join a union today. Union members negotiate our contracts, which is why we're more likely to have substantial retirement benefits. A secure retirement. That's the union difference.
Georgia outlaws pizza.
Hi, I'm El DeBarge.
Hey, yo, Peace World. What's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, Tom Joyner retired at the end of 2019 after 25 years of doing his nationally syndicated radio show, of course, known for support of HBCUs, and Take a Loved One to the Doctor Day initiative. Now he, of course, is trying to get these black folks to get out there and take this damn COVID vaccine. He joins us right now. Tom, where you talking to us from? Miami? You in the Bahamas, Jamaica? Where you at?
Best place in the world, Miami.
So let's talk about this COVID-19. There are these assumptions that black folks don't want to take it, but the reality is, what I've been hearing from doctors all across the country is, folks are saying, we don't know where the information, where to sign up, where to get it.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that too. I did mine. My hesitation was the long lines because I got things to do. I can't be standing in line all day for a shot, and then I might not get the shot. So, and then it takes all day to make the reservations and stuff. So I made the reservations. Went down to Jackson Hospital. Was in and out in 10 minutes.
See, look at that, 10 minutes, that's all it took. So now which one, did you get the Pfizer shot or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson?
I did the Pfizer.
Did you have any concerns at all? So you were never afraid of taking it. You were like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to get the vaccine.
Yeah, I wasn't hesitating. My only hesitation was about getting in line.
Now let's talk about that because you're from Tuskegee, and every time we talk about folks, everybody named Mama bring up Tuskegee. They bring up Tuskegee. Oh no, I'm not taking nothing because of Tuskegee.
Yeah, and I'm from Tuskegee. I delivered papers to some of those victims of the Tuskegee Project.
But you didn't let that hold you back at all.
No. Because it just makes too much sense. I can hear your producer in the back. I can hear your producer.
Can y'all stop talking? Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, you would think if anybody has some hesitation about taking this vaccine, it'd be somebody from Tuskegee. But no, it just makes too much sense. I was concerned about the trial study and how black folks were, might not have been represented. But, I was watching something and a black man who was watching. No, I did this thing for the AMA, and this doctor was on, and he said he was concerned, and he looked into it, and he said black folks were real well represented in the trial study. So I said, yeah, man, I'm ready to get out the house and go somewhere. So I went on. Man, I ain't going nowhere without the vaccine. So I got vaccinated, made my reservations. I'm going to Cabo end of May for the Soul Music Festival with Charlie and them.
Oh, so you ready to get back on the road?
Hell yeah. You know me. I'm the fly jock.
So I take it the last year has not been a happy year for you.
No. I've been okay except for this goddamn stroke. But no, I've been fine, man. I'm living in Miami. This is the best place to be in quarantine.
Right, but I'm saying is you haven't been able to travel because I mean that.
Nah.
Like you ain't want to sit still to sit in one place long.
Well, I sold the plane, so that was another thing. So I sold the plane just before it hit. So I didn't have a problem.
So you back to flying first class?
Yeah, commercial, but I haven't flown yet. But I'm getting ready to.
Oh, so when we go to Cabo in May, that'll be your first flight in more than a year?
Yeah.
Well, flying is a little different. Flying's a little different now.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I still haven't heard about any cases on any airplanes. I haven't heard one.
So everybody's
afraid to fly, but I've heard about outbreaks in nursing homes and schools, but I have not heard an airplane and the passengers and stuff being an outbreak on an airplane. I haven't. Have you?
Not an outbreak. Early on, there was a doctor on NBC News who got COVID. But he said he did the mask and everything, but he thinks he didn't cover his eyes. So I've flown. So one of the things that I do, I've had more than 100 COVID segments. I've had black doctors and scientists from A&T and all kind of places. So what they say is when you fly, not just have a mask, but also be sure to keep your eyes covered as well.
Okay, well, I wear these cool shades. Is that enough?
They might need some side brackets or something, but yeah, that might help.
I got that. I got some cool shades with side brackets.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I wear some goggles because I ain't trying to play with COVID. My next door neighbor was like, oh, my whole family had it. I'm like, you white. I said, I ain't chancing that.
Hey, end of May is when I'm going to Cabo, and Biden said he's gonna have most of the country already vaccinated end of May, so I'm ready.
Folks are asking a lot of different stuff. You said earlier you had the stroke, so your health is good. You fully recovered from that?
I'm not fully, but I'm getting there. I'll be ready for the cruise.
So there will be a cruise.
Yep, we're set and booking and rebooking now for November 6th.
November 6th. All right. Well, obviously talent is always a big part of that. So who's going to be on the cruise?
We got the same talent. We got the same talent that we were going to have before we were shut down. So everybody re-signed. That's like 60. You know how we do it. I think we got Usher, Frankie. Who else we got, Chris?
Well, Roland Martin, me and Huggy Lowdown are definitely going to be on the cruise.
That's right, Roland.
Oh, well, hell, we damn sure not going to. Y'all two going to be there.
Definitely. We've been vaccinated.
Of course we have, Roland.
Because we know y'all two COVID carriers.
No.
Really, Roland? That's what we're doing here?
I have been vaccinated. I took the Pfizer on my Johnson & Johnson. We're in Miami with Tom Joyner. What? Say what you want, Roland. We're living that life.
We working. You need anything else to drink, Mr. Joyner?
Well,
You got the
Your car's
Pfizer.
are ready, Mr. Joyner. Car's
Got the
nice and
Pfizer on
clean.
the Johnson & Johnson.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how in the hell three of y'all there, and I took Huggy and Chris through a damn technical class on how to do Skypes and Zooms, and so I don't understand why they didn't have a tripod and everything, so the shot can be steady, but they do struggle. Hell, Chris even called me to help his preacher.
Hey, You know, I got Rachel here helping me.
So you got all them folks helping. So, Tom, folks are comment. First of all, let me just here. My panel's here, so let me have each one of them get to ask you a question. Monique, you got a question for Tom Joyner?
No, just hey, Tom Joyner. It's good to see you.
All right.
Love you.
Tom, that's Monique
Love
Presley.
You too. Hey, yeah. Haven't talked to you in a long time.
It's been too long.
Yeah. How's your client?
Bye, Tom Joyner. Bye.
Oh, can't ask.
All right, y'all. That's of course.
I didn't call your client's name. I just asked.
Bye.
All right, Monique.
Scott Bolden, question for Tom Joyner.
Hey, Tom, just wishing you the best with your health. I grew up in Joliet, Illinois, and started out with you when you were at in Chicago before you became the fly jock, and I was there when you became the fly jock. So
yeah,
I'm a big fan, long time, and I just wish you all the best health-wise, brother.
Thanks, man.
Tom, here trifling last Kappa. We let him on the show. Robert, Robert, go ahead.
Well, interesting enough, Tom Joyner's actually my commencement speaker when I graduated at Clark Atlanta, so it is an honor to be on with you. Given the current situation, what is the beverage package on the cruise, and when do we start making deposits?
The beverage package? You mean the one where you meet me at the bar and do shots?
Yeah. Like, can we do like the all-inclusive, or do I have to pay a la carte? Because I feel like we're going to be fully hydrated this entire trip.
Hey, just meet me at the bar. I'll pay for the shots.
All right, I'm holding you to that one.
Oh, yeah. I don't mind.
Well, he got enough money. Plus, he ain't got to buy shots for me because I don't drink. So, you know, that's real easy. I'll take that cranberry juice all day. Tom, folks comment on Facebook and YouTube. So the biggest question they're asking is, do you miss the radio?
I don't miss getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hell no. No. The truth is, no, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. You know, I know if we were still on the radio rolling, January 6th, we'd have been there in D.C., wouldn't we?
Yeah, it would have been in the middle of it. But it would have been fine for you because you're more light-skinned than I am. They would have thought you one of them.
No, they wouldn't. You know, I have to admit that I miss that. I miss that not being, you know, in places, you know, like D.C. on January 6th or on some of these Black Lives Matter marches. I've been there chunking bricks. You know?
Been there chunking bricks.
He said he'd be there chugging bricks.
Chugging bricks. Well, it's good that again. Now, first of all, have you taken one of the shots, or you took both of yours?
I got the next one coming up next week. The second one coming up next week.
Gotcha. All right then. Well, look. Good luck with that. Glad you can join.
What about you? You taking yours?
I have not. I'm on the list. You and I are not in the same age bracket, so I'm a little lower than you. My parents are 73. They got their shots.
Roland, here's what I don't understand. How come they don't just? It's the process that's all messed up.
But you got to remember, Trump screwed it all up. That's the problem.
How come they just can't make it simple? You just, if you want the shot, go get the shot, and they're open 24 hours.
Right.
How come they can't do that?
Because they could have done that, but the problem is Trump is stupid and all his people were stupid. They didn't set up a real federal plan, and so it was sort of like, states, do whatever y'all want to do. We don't, we don't care, and so they were not taking care of it. What you just described, I remember, they had a whole big old news conference. Oh, they were going to have testing in Walmart parking lot and Walgreens and CVS. All, that never happened. And so you're right. You should have had a system where, that's right, you were giving COVID shots 24 hours a day in grocery stores. And I mean, it should have been a real plan, but there was an idiot who was in the White House who didn't give a damn about everybody else. That's what happened.
Okay, so why they can't change that? I mean, I don't understand. I know Trump didn't have it all set up, but goddamn, he's gone. So open it up, shoot everybody in the arm, 24 hours a day till you get everybody all vaccinated.
Well, that's what they're working on. They're trying to do right now, but again, trying to figure out how to coordinate all of that was one of the issues. But you're right, and you know they're playing from behind. But again, the fact that
if you can coordinate to do shots till 8 o'clock at night, you can do shots 24 hours if you want to.
No, I agree.
Yeah. All registration and stuff. Just give folks the shots that want it.
I agree 100%. All right, sir, that's it for us. I appreciate it.
All right, Roland.
Y'all enjoy Miami.
All right, come see me when you get to Miami.
All right then, we'll do. Y'all, the Tom Joyner there in Miami. Got to go to a break. When we come back, Desmond Meade, the brother who led the Amendment 4 in Florida, went before the Florida Parole Board to try to get his pardon. We'll explain exactly what happened. Next, on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Are you geolocating people through the FBI based on where they were on January 6th?
He asked you about the geolocation and metadata aspects and gathering related to gathering of metadata, that is, related to your investigation into the January 6th riot. Tell me what you know about this.
So is the FBI accessing cell phone tower metadata from telecommunications companies?
Shortly after 2 p.m., as the siege was fully underway, Senator Lee describes it, phone rang, it was Donald Trump.
I hope you can understand my concern.
Sure, you can appreciate my concern here.
If people begin to believe that their democracy is fraudulent, if they conclude that voting is a charade, the system is rigged, then God knows what could happen.
They rigged an election. They rigged it like they've never rigged an election before.
Actually, we do know what could happen. It's happening right now.
The U.S. Capitol overrun, under siege. Pro-Trump extremists storming inside, flooding the halls, reaching the floor of the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Millions of Americans sincerely believe the last election was fake.
It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it.
When thousands of your countrymen storm the Capitol building, if you don't bother to pause and learn a single thing from it, then you're a fool.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us.
We got to this sad, chaotic day for a reason. It is not your fault. It is their fault.
Vivian Green.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Folks who are formerly incarcerated have to go through a very arduous process in Florida to get there, to actually get a pardon. You literally have to go before a committee where the governor sits on. And frankly, it's strange. It's just crazy and stuck on stupid there in Florida. Well, Desmond Meade, the brother who led Amendment 4, which restored the voting rights for upwards of 1.4 million people, went back before the board today. The governor sits on that board in order to get a pardon. Well, that didn't happen. He joins us right now. So in a second, we're going to be joined by Desmond to talk about that. Of course, he out there on the line, activist, fighting, leading. We of course work with him, spend time working with him. But Governor Ron DeSantis, again, blocking a pardon for the leader of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. He went before the Clemency Board, and what happened, first of all, DeSantis and the Clemency Board removed the minimum 5-year waiting period for felons to apply to have their civil rights restored. The governor refused to issue Meade a pardon due to a dishonorable discharge from the military. Now, what's so stupid about this, y'all, is like the last time this came up, where they literally said that he needed to go back to the military to get some kind of answer. I don't know what the hell. Desmond Meade joins us right now. So Desmond, okay, what the hell was the reason this time?
Hey, Roland, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. At the end of the day, what it really is I'm just a casualty of some infighting that's going on on the Clemency Board between the governor and our Secretary of Agriculture. And the excuse this time is that I had a court-martial back in 1990, I believe. And I know that's just pretense, because clemency is not about what you did. It's more about what you've done after you have served your time, after you have committed your last offense. What type of life have you been living, and how have you been contributing to society and demonstrating that you're so-called, quote-unquote, rehabilitated. And so I think I've more than proven that. But for some reason, this governor insists on just going back and digging up old things. And Rich is really irrelevant at this moment.
And here's the thing here. Okay, so you talked openly about your previous issues, going to jail, drugs, all those different things. When you
it's in my book.
Right. I mean, talked about it. When you went to jail in Florida, right, it had nothing to do with the court-martial.
Nothing.
So let's just get, the reason you went to jail in Florida had nothing to do with the court-martial. How long ago were you in? You released when?
You're talking about almost 30 years, if not more.
You released 30 years. You were released when?
In 1993.
You released in 1993, and here we are.
1990.
And since 1993, led a clean life, went to law school, did all these things, and he's still trying to go back to the 90s?
Well, yeah, so let me just be clear. In 1993, I was released, but my mother passed away a couple years later, and I really dove into a drug addiction like crazy, which caused me to get in some more trouble. And so the last time that I was convicted of any offense was back in 2001. And so if I have transformed my life since 2001, since the last episode, why are you going back several episodes before that, right, to raise an issue when clemency is supposed to be about what you've done after you've committed your last act?
And this is part of the issue with this board, because before we've had individuals who've gone before and they've tried to ask them, have they committed their life to Christ and all kind of stuff, which actually has nothing to do with that, because what if they were Muslim or they didn't actually believe in God? But this is part of this problem where and this is one where the governor literally sits on the board. So when you went before today, was he present?
Yes, he was, and you know what? That's a major problem with these type of boards, because when you have politicians deciding who gets the vote, who don't get the vote, and who gets pardoned and who don't get pardoned, you leave a lot of room for politics to play a role in it. My wife, let me tell you, you thought I was upset. My wife, Sheena, was with me, and she was about to go off. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that struck her was that this governor gave pardons to people who didn't even bother to show up for the hearing. Didn't even bother to show up, giving pardons away left and right. But for some reason, once again, he wants to deny me, and now is forcing me to seek a presidential pardon. find a way to remove that military court-martial off my record before he would consider it again.
Okay, so for the folks who don't know, what does getting a pardon do for you in Florida? What is it now? Because you have your right to you have your right to vote, correct?
I had my right to vote. What a pardon does, first of all, pardon is a form of forgiveness or absolving me of all the past mistakes that I've made in the past. And that is typically done when a person has demonstrated that they have turned their life around. The other thing that the pardon does, it removes that ban that I have to be able to possess or be in the vicinity of a firearm, right? Because when you lose your civil rights, you lose the right to bear arms as well, and that is not automatically restored. However, Martin, something good did come out of today's hearing that I believe is even much bigger than me. Because when we passed Amendment 4, what we did was we created a pathway for people like me to be able to have our voting rights restored. But our civil rights weren't restored. And so even though I was able to vote in my very first presidential election last November, because my civil rights was not restored, I still can't practice law in the state of Florida because I can't apply to the Florida bar until my civil rights have been restored. And then the big one is that I still have a hard time finding safe and affordable housing for my wife and children because of my civil rights not being restored. And there are many homeowners associations that would not allow me to own or even rent a house until my civil rights have been restored. And so even though Amendment 4 gave me the big daddy as far as the right to vote, they still made some civil rights, increased employment opportunities and housing opportunities for people with felony convictions. Well, today, the governor and his cabinet did amend the clemency rules to allow for the automatic restoration of civil rights to anyone who qualifies under Amendment 4. And so now people are not just only having their voting rights because of Amendment 4. Now they can have all of their civil rights and have a better opportunity to really, truly experience the American dream.
Well, and the fact that you led Amendment 4 getting passed is reason enough. Well, this governor should have had the guts to give you that particular pardon. So hopefully folks will weigh in and lean on President Joe Biden to issue that presidential pardon, which would then provide the opportunity for you to be fully free.
Well, I hope so, too. You know, after seeing all these different pardons that were thrown around last year, you know, I think that looking at who got the pardon, I think I more than earned that opportunity. So let's see how that works out. Otherwise, regardless, though, Roland, we're going to continue here in Florida to now engage these returning citizens even more, get them registered to vote, because we got an election next year, a midterm where the governor's up and the rest of the clemency board officials, they're up for election. And so we're going to engage our people and get them registered to vote and riled up and ready to go when November 2022 comes along.
And when you know, of course, just let me know, and we'll be down there with the Robo-Mobile with y'all to help you do it.
Most definitely, man. Appreciate the love.
Desmond Meade, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right, folks. Education is critically important for us. It doesn't matter, of course, where it goes, and that was something that was impressed upon me by my parents, which is one of the reasons why I started a scholarship at my high school, Jack Yates High School in Houston, Texas. Joining me right now is Dr. Grenita Lathan. She is the interim superintendent for the Houston Independent School District. Dr. Lathan, how you doing?
Well, hello, Roland. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I am excited to share with my audience this scholarship, but I'm a little pissed off because you're leaving. I'll get to that in a second. But let's talk first about what we're doing at Jack Yates.
Well, I want to thank you for establishing a scholarship to support students graduating from Jack Yates High School that are going to pursue a degree in communications. As you know, Jack Yates is the pride of the 3rd Ward and also the pride of the Houston community. And actually, most recently, Jack Yates was authorized to become an international baccalaureate diploma program. And so we're really excited that you've truly put your money where your mouth is. And since you kept me waiting just a little bit longer today, I'm going to need another $25,000. So I'll be waiting for my check before I leave Houston, Texas.
Nice try. I was told y'all were late. That's what my staff told me. Don't be trying to sit here and squeeze out another $25,000.
Hey, I'm blaming it on you because you know what? And I just want to add one other thing, because we are talking about education. And I want to shout out to the #1 HBCU in this country, North Carolina A&T State University. You know I have to do it, Aggie Pride. I'm so excited that the person that's going to lead the EPA graduated from North Carolina A&T. So, okay, I'm going to talk about that. Now, let's go back to Jack Yates High School.
Right, because you might want to slow down talking, because, you know, it's some TSU, some Texas Southern University, and Prairie View A&M folk in Houston giving you the side eye right now.
And they know I love them. They know I love TSU. I love Prairie View. And so they know I love them, and I support both of those universities. But, you know, I have to support North Carolina A&T State.
I got you. I understand. I'll make it perfectly clear. I'm a Texas A&M graduate. I don't care. And that's the only Aggies that matter in my household. That's how we do it. And so for folks who don't, so what we're doing is this here. I'm actually doing two. I went through the School of Communications, and so the reason I'm not doing only the School of Communications, because we also, of course, we had classes that participate in the so-called regular part of Jack Yates. I hate it when they use those particular terms. So we'll have a $1,000 scholarship for an SOC student and $1,000 for a non-SOC student.
Yes, and the application period is actually open now, Roland, and we'll be accepting applications from students, and we'll make a final decision at the end of April prior to graduation for 2 outstanding students at Jack Yates High School.
And so I'm certainly excited about that. And, of course, my parents are both graduates of Jack Yates High School, class of '67, Imelda and Reginald Martin. And so JY runs a deep. That's why I'm wearing. I was going to wear this T-shirt today, but I chose to rock the African colors, the colors. And, folks, if y'all see the logo, go to the solo. Y'all see the logo of the show. Y'all do see what those colors are. Ain't no coincidence. Those are the colors of this show, because everything started for me there at JY. Let's get to some other business. I was not particularly happy to read that you are leaving HISD to go to where?
I'm headed to Springfield, Missouri to serve as their new superintendent. And
so when do you, how long have you been in Houston?
I've been in Houston 6 years, and I start my new position on July 1st.
First of all, how have y'all been handling COVID and all the things that come with it? A lot of other places, they're now trying to come back with kids in the classroom. Have y'all had students in the classroom, or that now being phased in?
We've actually had 86,000 students attending school face-to-face since last October. And then we have another 120,000 students actually learning online. I actually want to just pause and recognize all the members of Team HISD and thank them for everything that they've done this past year. It's been a difficult year for us all, but we've been able to feed our students. We started feeding our students and families on March the 13th last year, and we have continued to do that with our food distributions. We've provided them the necessary mental health supports that they needed. But our teachers and our principals and other members really have stepped up and supported our students.
It is, of course, it has been a whole lot of drama for a lot of folks with trying to get folks back into the classroom, being safe. And so how have y'all been able to do that? What has been the strategy there in Houston?
We created a communicable disease plan where we assembled principals, teachers, medical professionals, and central office leaders, and they developed a plan. It was called our reopening plan. And that reopening plan addresses every area of safety. Our board actually invested about $34 million to help with PPE, water, everything we needed, additional cleaning supplies, additional personnel to ensure that our campuses are safe. And we have added extra staff to help clean throughout the school day.
Questions from my panel. First, I'll start, I guess, Monique, since you're there from Galveston down the street. You get to ask the first question, Dr. Grenita Lathan. Monique? All right, Monique, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go.
Well, thanks so much for all the work that you do, and congratulations. I wish you well on your next challenge. But what has it been like for the students dealing with this transition, and what do you think the steps are going to be that are necessary to make up for just the amount of days and hours of work that have been missed and focused during the past year?
It's been difficult, especially for our students that are learning at home. You know, socialization and interacting with your peers, we all know it's very important. And you all are in communication, so you know how important it is to be able to relate and connect with people. And I believe that has been one of the most difficult experiences or challenges for our students this year. As it relates to making up for learning loss, we have already added additional tutoring support for our students. We're adding additional days to our school calendar for the 2021-22 school year. And we'll be providing extended days, extended hours, even on the weekends, to support those students that have fallen behind.
Robert?
One thing that I think goes by the wayside in this conversation, particularly with regards to COVID and its effects on schools, are teachers. What have been the effects on teacher morale, teacher retention during the course of this outbreak, and what are some of the steps that have been done that maybe other school districts can replicate as they move towards in-person education again?
You know, last fall, it was very difficult. I'd say in August and September, mental health wise, it was very difficult for our staff members because everyone was worried about, you know, their own well-being, coming back face to face, being in a building and being surrounded by other people. We tried to focus on giving staff members assistance through our employee assistance program. We held different, what we call wind down Fridays, where it was a virtual party. We tried to provide additional support to our staff. We actually established a mental health hotline, not only for our families, but also for our staff members, so that they can call that number and speak with someone to receive assistance. But like I said, it's been a difficult year, and that's why every opportunity I get, I say thank you. Thank you for people giving more of themselves than they probably physically had to give this year. And, you know, we still need to get everyone vaccinated, and we're going to keep working on that. But I am very thankful to all of our staff members for their hard work this year.
Scott?
Yeah, Doctor, congratulations on your new position. I must say that as I look around the school districts around the country, what you've reported versus other jurisdictions has been very uneven, probably for a lot of reasons. I worry about the students in grade school, elementary school, and high school that we've lost because they couldn't keep up or they didn't have the software, hardware, and able to be engaged electronically or remotely. One, how do you explain the unevenness depending on the state or the municipality you're in? But two, how do we reclaim those students post-COVID so that they get the full benefit of their educational opportunities?
Thank you for those two questions. And I'm actually going to start in the reverse. We actually lost about 11,000 students this year as a result of COVID, the students that did not return. But I want to address the devices. I'm very proud that we actually distributed over 145,000 devices. So every child and parent that requested a device received it. Even children where there are several children in one home, every child received their own device. We actually deployed about 35,000 hotspots to support our students. And, you know, it was surprising last March to look at or find out about the digital divide. We all knew it, but I think it's something like, you know, how you tiptoe around things where you know you need to go and you kind of throw things in a closet to hide them. It was the same thing going on with the digital divide. And so that was one of our top priorities, to make sure all of our children could access their curriculum, access their teachers, whether they were learning virtually and even when they returned face-to-face. So we didn't take the devices back. They're able to still continue to use those devices at home.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you.
Well, Doc, I hate the fact that you are leaving. You can't speak to this, but I can. Shame on our Board of Trustees for not removing that interim label. I'm sure you will enjoy Springfield, but you probably will enjoy Houston a lot more. That is our loss. You did an amazing job there. taking over. A lot of people may not realize that HISD was on the brink of actually being taken over by the state because of actions that had nothing to do with you, and you have led the district back from the brink of catastrophe, and that should have been rewarded by the Board of Trustees, but there's been far too much infighting on that board, so we certainly wish you luck, and I'm sure the principals and administrators and staff there hate to see you go, but certainly we wish you success as you head to the Show Me State.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so very much. Dr. Grady Lathan, of course, Interim Superintendent, Houston Independent School District. Thank you so very much. Folks, the winners of the scholarships will, once I'm going to interview each one of them, and they'll be featured right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. And let me just real clear again, folks. What you had take place in Houston was shameful. And what you had there was, and I can say this, and I don't care, and I don't give a damn what the Houston Independent School District Board of Trustees has to say. You had Latino board members who did not want to see a black superintendent. They tried to bring in a previous superintendent. Carranza left to go to New York. They tried to bring in an old superintendent, and it didn't work. They denied this sister from having this opportunity, and she earned it. They had an opportunity a few months ago to remove the interim label. Again, earned it. But to be an interim superintendent for 3 years is crazy. And that's because we have a dysfunctional, clueless, shameful Board of Trustees who doesn't know how to lead. And they've been an embarrassment. And that's why the Texas Education Agency almost took over the school district, because of the dysfunction among the Board of Trustees. And so, again, Dr. Lathan, she's done a great job. I'm giving that commentary. It has nothing to do with her, because you do not let excellent leaders leave. That's not what you do. And so, again, good luck to her going to Springfield, Missouri. Folks, got to go to break. We'll be back at Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I believe that it's movement time again.
In America today, the economy is not working for working people.
The poor and the needy are being abused.
You are the victims of power, and this is the abuse of economic power.
I'm 23 years old. I work 3 jobs. Work 7 days a week. No days off.
They're paying people pennies on the dollar compared to what they profit, and it is time for this to end.
Essential workers have been showing up to work, feeding us, caring for us, delivering goods to us throughout this entire pandemic, and they've been doing it on a measly $7.25 minimum wage.
The highest check I ever got was nearly $291. I can't take it no more.
You know, the fight for 15 is a lot more than about $15 an hour. This is about a fight for your dignity.
We have got to recognize that working people deserve livable wages.
And it's long past time for this nation to go to 15 so that moms and dads don't have to choose between asthma inhalers and rent.
I'm halfway homeless.
The main reason that people end up in their cars is because income does not match housing cost.
If I could just only work 1 job, I could have more time with them.
It is time for the owners of Walmart, McDonald's, Dollar General, and other large corporations to get off welfare and pay their workers a living wage.
And if you really want to tackle racial equity, you have to raise the minimum wage.
We're not just fighting for our families, we're fighting for yours too. We need this. I'm going to fight for it until we get it. I'm not going to give up. We just need all workers to stand up as one nation and just fight together.
Families are relying on these salaries, and they must be paid at a minimum $15 an hour.
$15 a minimum. Anyone should be making this to be able to stay out of poverty.
I can't take it no more. I'm doing this for not only me, but for everybody. We need 15 right now.
It's Kiara Sheard.
Hey, I'm Taj.
I'm Coco.
And I'm Lily.
And we're SWV. What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
No charcoal grills are allowed.
I'm white. I got you,
huh? Illegally selling water without a permit
on my property.
Whoa!
Hey!
Give us your
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
What the hell? The mother of a 5-year-old black kindergartner, y'all, wants her son's teacher fired after she says her son was told to stick his bare hands inside of a toilet to clean up feces. This happened at Crystal Hill Elementary School in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the Pulaski County Special School District says they're investigating the situation. The only explanation the teacher gave to the principal was that she was trying to teach the student how not to stop up the toilet. While the teacher has been placed on administrative leave, the family says they plan to press charges. What the hell? Monique.
It's child abuse. That's horrifying.
Robert, the white teacher
That's
didn't
not
go.
Crazy. That's criminal.
She gave another explanation was, I don't really know why I did it.
And look,
No,
just
sir.
to Monique's point, that's beyond simply crazy. That it's a criminal act. That is a form of torture. That is something you would hear in the gulags of Russia. That's something you would hear in Guantanamo Bay. That's something you would hear from some of the worst dictators on earth. The concept of forcing a child into a situation like that. I hope they have gotten the child therapy, and we have to reevaluate. I'm a big defender of good teachers. Teachers like this, we have to make sure that we weed out of the population and give these people the sorts of psychological evaluations they need before they're put in charge of raising our children. Children spend more time with their teachers often than they do with the parents, quite frankly. So we need to ensure we're getting the best quality people around them and not folks with clear psychological issues along these lines.
I don't know what the hell some of these folk thinking, Scott, but that's somebody I would not want in a classroom ever again.
And this was a little kid, too. Not that that matters, any kid, but he had to be, couldn't be more than 5 years old. I saw the picture in the report that your team sent us, and it just makes no sense. So therapy, Terminator, Monique raised a really good point about child abuse. I bet you there's a state statute that you could fit this set of facts into, and you could go to the local prosecutor and see if she could be prosecuted on top of her losing her job and her teacher's license. That makes no sense. But again, they don't see us, right? So she sees that young black kid as an animal, not as a human being, not as a child of a mother and father. So she ought to be criminally prosecuted and civilly and from a regulatory basis, everything taken from her and just keep it moving. I mean, that's all. I mean, it's not a big debate.
The problem here is, it's not guaranteed they'll remove her from the classroom. I'm just simply saying.
There's no debate on what needs to happen.
Oh, no, I understand. Well, first of all.
There cannot be a debate on that.
Well, guess what? We've seen a whole lot of ignorant stuff from school districts before. And so hopefully there's not going to be a lot of the whole debate. And then you don't have this, well, I don't know why I did it. I mean, I was trying to teach.
There's misconduct, and then there's complete bullshit. She needs to be prosecuted. She needs to lose her license, lose her ability to have a job. Her and the school district needs to be sued because there's negligent hiring there, negligent training. I could write the lawsuit up in about a half hour.
But it's not just therapy for the one child. There needs to be a full investigation regarding any child that she's been interacted with, because nothing like this happens in a vacuum. And if something as blatant as this happened, there is no telling what the other actions, statements, aggressions have been taken against the children in this class or in prior classes. And so that school district has to do the full extent of their job, as does the Child Welfare Services Office and the prosecutor's office.
Because she felt comfortable doing it. See, that's the other thing, Roland. She felt comfortable doing it. That's what you got to investigate, as Monique said. And if it's not feces, who knows what else is out there? Right. They're out there practicing hanging this young kid for fun.
Yeah, this isn't the first time she's done something. This is the first time she's gotten caught. And frankly, I think it would be worthwhile to spend the time and the money to interview every child she's ever taught or within a reasonable range to find out exactly what has happened and how deep this goes. As I said, someone doesn't do that something like that demented for a first time. That is, you have to check and see if she was chopping up animals in her backyard, cutting herself, checking her journal to see what kind of person this was.
Yeah, that's some sick shit, man. That's some sick shit.
Indeed. All right, folks. That is if us. We didn't play.
What's
this.
next?
We didn't play this here, Scott. You might want to calm the hell down. So everybody. Now, one of the I told y'all in terms of our scholarship here. We did when I was at the School of Communications. We often did a lot of different videos, and so a couple of years ago. When my frat brother Ted was there, he was over School Communications.
Everything got to be about a fraternity.
Don't hate Ted Irving. They digitized.
Just keep Alpha out of your show.
Scott, stop talking. They digitized a whole lot of the old, them old 3/4 tapes that took a long time, and so this is what they discovered in the archive. Just so y'all know. Brother didn't just start doing this late in life.
Here we go.
Don't hate. Don't hate. Y'all have the video. Lanny, don't you have the video? School of Communications video? Y'all don't have it? Thank you.
No, they ain't got it. Oh, man, I'm so disappointed.
Y'all don't, what video is that? Y'all don't have it? Okay, all right. So let me pull this up here because now, of course, Scott, ain't no video of you being a lawyer when you were in high school.
Oh, yeah, but it is.
Oh, really?
Oh, but it is.
Really? Really?
I have it for you for the next show, next week.
Yeah, okay, all right, Yeah, you're gonna try to use some CGI to try to go back to show.
My debate footage goes back to 2nd grade. So.
Yeah, and I've got some academic decathlon and a lot of you input for you, so.
This is my favorite section of the show right here.
Are y'all done?
He just freestyle.
Are y'all done? Because obviously, y'all struggling right now. Y'all, go ahead and watch this video. Just so y'all understand, a bruh was not sitting here just doing this stuff. Don, this was like 1980. Y'all, go to my iPad. This was like 1985. Y'all see, it was tape that we had to roll. It was so this was from JY back in the day. Back in the day. All right.
Who is that?
Y'all, that's me, pimp.
Who is that?
That's an alpha man right there. That's an alpha man. So, pull it up.
Located on the Jack Yates campus. I would like to take you back to my previous years in SOC and also
This was shot, I think,
my first year starting in the home of Ms. Bertha Davis.
86 or 1987. So we were there.
My following 3 years.
And then, of course, I think I'm going to be interviewed by somebody next. I told y'all, this was like way before digital video. And so all y'all new people don't quite understand what this was like, of course. And Scott, just so you know, I was only named the top student at my high school, School of Communications. That's why I'm... Matter of fact, go ahead and turn it up, because I'm talking about all my awards. You ain't never had this experience, Scott.
That's very important. I think that should be very important in any type of job. Roland, what does television production offer to you as a class?
Television production offered a challenge for me. That was the main reason why I came here. Thought of 3 other fields, but I thought this would be the most challenging field because, first of all, in a field like this, or even journalism, you always have a deadline. And the deadline is very important. And it's up to you to meet that certain deadline.
All right. You've had a pretty prosperous high school career so far.
Right here,
you've been an outspoken student leader. What else have you accomplished?
Hold
on, he about to name the awards. Listen.
Awards like my band award, my service award, certificates in English, and also my baseball awards. But the ones I really like best are maybe my communications award. I was gladly trading in all of my other certificates for my television awards or even my just major School of Communications awards, because those are the main reason why I came here. All the others, they're good, but they're, not actually what I came here for.
All right.
That's what I'm saying, Scott. So Scott Bolden.
All right.
So Scott Bolden. See, when you see those of us who are alpha men, we were distinguished before alpha as well. I mean, I know
you were an alpha man then.
Guess what?
I will applaud you. You got more hair back then, and obviously you had a lot of awards and stuff. What happened to all that hair, man?
Guess what?
I still got mine. What happened to all your
Guess
hair?
what? You don't have hair. And second of all, I got even more awards. But don't be a hater. If y'all want to show again, that's one of the reasons why, of course, I'm giving back to Jack Yates High School.
All love. All love.
Yeah, I wish you stop interrupting Monique and Robert when they try to make their point, because you act like you in an amen corner at church. They don't need you affirming their points.
Well, I just like them to know I support them, except on, well, I'm not going to say that one issue.
Send them a text in.
Okay, all right.
Send them a text. They don't need you sitting there interrupting, trying to make their comment, because you're trying to get more time in.
Did you get mad when we look down and text each other because you say we ain't ready?
See, still talking. Robert, go ahead.
Did you really spread all your awards out on the table just for a high school interview?
You obviously didn't understand. The point of the interview was a profile, and we needed props. That's what happened when First of all, you had a crooked-ass backdrop last week, so you shouldn't talk about...
The camera was crooked.
You shouldn't say... The camera was not crooked. You had a crooked-ass backdrop, because Robert, don't make me pull the video from last week, Robert.
See how humble you were even in high school, that your ego hadn't got ahead of you yet, that you were humble enough to get all your trophies and put them on a table.
Hold on, no, Robert, let me help you out.
How many touchdowns you run in the high school
Robert, let me help you out.
That's going to be on next week.
Robert, let me help you out. That wasn't all my school communication awards, son.
You get more.
That wasn't all of them. First of all, I only had one on. I had 10. Boy, you don't want none of this. You don't want none of this. See, y'all don't want none of this.
He's publicizing his high school awards. Think about that. He is a business leader, a press leader, a great writer, a gifted host, but he's promoting his high school awards right now.
No, I'm not.
What does that tell us about Roland Martin?
I'm stating facts. I'm stating history, and that is this here. When I graduated,
I want to show you all my awards next week.
When I graduated,
Scott, show all my legal awards.
Scott, when I graduated, the teachers voted the best student in their 4 years there. I'm sorry, I got it. My bad. God. And Robert, that wasn't in the video. All right, y'all, we got to go. Y'all was don't be a hater.
Holla.
But I do have that award next to those 4 NWCB Image Awards. How many you got, Scott? I thought so. All right, y'all. Y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Please do so by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. You can support us by going to Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo.com/RM Unfiltered, and Zelle, Roland@RolandSMartin.com. You can send a money order to New Vision Media, 1625 K Street Northwest, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. All right, folks. That is it for us. We hope y'all enjoy today's commentary from Robert and Monique, and you tolerated Scott, as we always do on Wednesdays. But that's how
I got a fan club. You just watch. You ain't paying attention.
No, you don't.
Okay, maybe not yet, but I'm going to have one.
No, you don't.
Hey, if I give you $1,000, will you mention me on the air? If I get a fan club $1,000, will you mention me on the air?
You still owe us the other $9,000 from last year when you lost the bet.
You need to get over that. But if I give you a brand, you got to say something good about me on the air. Say one positive thing, and I'll give you $1,000.
Yes, your wife is fine.
What positive thing be?
Your wife is cute and fine and smart. That's the most positive thing you're going to get. Anything I say good,
all right, Monique, I'm done.
Anything I good say to usually about Erica. That's it. That's the best decision you ever made.
It's the best one she ever made as well.
Not quite sure about that. All right, y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ha!